Hello, everyone. Hold on, I'm gonna switch on my camera in just a second while you guys come in. Let's see. Oh my gosh, dude, I'm telling you guys, I just fixed this and my Logitech camera just wants to make me look like I'm an angel right now. I don't know what's going on. Let me fix our exposure, yeah? Better. Hello, guys. What is up? Heavenly Choir starts saying, yeah, I know, dude. I'm like, what's going on? Very overexposed. Hello, Lazy YT. Is it Jangutu? I hope I'm saying that right. Hello, guys. Welcome in. Today we're going to be, well, today is all focused on design for Bring Your Friend to Fourthwall Week. And so I'm going to sit down with you and talk to you about how you can create your own designs for free because we all love free stuff. I know I do. And designing doesn't have to be super complicated. I feel that like design can be one of the most like overwhelming parts of creating your store. And so my goal is to make it a lot less overwhelming for you, and give you some ideas, some inspiration, and just kind of figure out exactly what we kind of want to put together. And if you guys have any ideas for what we're going to design today, feel free to drop them in the messages, the little chat. If you guys see in the top right of your Discord, there should be a little chat bubble, and then you can click on that. You can type in chat and I can see it. All right. But I'd love your guys' help in putting together whatever design we're going to do today. That way it's, completely off. I was gonna say completely off the dome, off your dome, really. But we'll work on it together. So I'm gonna be using Canva. If you guys don't know, I'm a huge Canva stan. I'm gonna share my screen to get started. I'm a big fan of Canva, and I'm gonna walk you through exactly like what the settings I'm using are in Canva, everything there to make it just extremely easy for you. All right, let's see. You guys should be able to see my screen now. So just to kind of off the bat let you guys know, Canva has a t-shirt template. I used this on stream the other day, and I was kind of frustrated because I was having to like upscale my design. And I was like, that's so weird because it's a t-shirt template. The resolution that Canva uses for their t-shirt template is just too low. So if you're going to be designing anything in Canva, I recommend creating your own ratio, like your own ratio, I guess, your own size. That's 3000 by 3000 pixels. And you can also, I'll show you guys really quickly. I can send this in chat as well. This is a really great resource, a really great help article that I recommend checking out. It's how do I design a product? And you'll see like when you get to the upload your artwork step, it tells you right here exactly what your art file requirements are. It tells you what the resolution should be. It should be in a PNG or vector format, have no fade or glow effects, certain things here that'll make it really simple and really easy for you when you're designing, just little things to keep in mind. So I think that help article is very, very helpful. Canva for the win. I know, Canva rocks. Learning to position a logo properly on a tee or tank so it doesn't print in the armpit would be great. Interesting. You're printing the armpit. That's a whole nother issue. But I'm going to go through the whole design process with you guys. If you guys have any questions about design at all, as we design together, let me know. I have quite a bit of experience in graphic design, so happy to answer any questions that you have. And then if you have any questions about working with an artist, we have another session coming up later with Vince and Jeremy and 3 artists from our community, Serena, Isamoon Bunny, and Rebecca Roney, who are going to be coming on and talking about working with an artist, giving all the deets there. But right now we're going to focus on designing something yourself for free. All right, let us go. Well, near, not in. Okay, good. Okay, that's better, I guess. All right, so one thing when it comes to creating your own designs is that we really want to focus on stuff that is like engaging to your community. So inside jokes, catchphrases, stuff like that is really, really fun and sells a lot better if we're just looking at it from a sales perspective. So I would say like catchphrases and inside jokes at the top here. Below that, I would say like emotes. Emotes are cute and can be really fun because they're like very customized to you and feel like very much branded to you. But emotes tend to not sell as well as like your catchphrases and your inside jokes. And then below that, I would have like logos. So this isn't to say that you can't do emote merch or you can't do logo merch or that you have to only do catchphrases. Not at all. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that you should keep this in mind when you're designing. You could do a collection that has catchphrases and a collection that's emotes. You can use our collections feature. You can do multiple different things, but just so you know that, there's just different things, and you know your community best, so you'll know what goes best with them, and then you'll be able to see when you actually start selling your merch, what's selling the best, and kind of keep an eye on that too in your analytics, and then you can kind of go from there for your future launches. But that's just to say, I like to kind of focus on some catchphrases. So we'll come up with something cute to say today. Maybe we'll focus on how angelic I looked at the beginning of this. The beginning of this. Maybe that's what our focus will be today. We'll put something fun together. D. Brownon says, I know most layouts in Fourthwall limit the print space. How can we go beyond that? Like designs that are all over the shirt or in unique unique places. So we have all over print shirts, all over print hoodies. There's actually, like, when you're looking for products, you'll be able to filter by print method. I can show you that real quick as well. You can filter by print method. Let's see. .com/products. And so when we go here, you'll be able to go to all products and then scroll down, and you can click all over printed right here. And then you'll be able to see, I didn't know we had all over print wide leg pants. Oh God, I'm gonna have to get those. But then you'll be able to see everything that's all over print. So there's no limits there to exactly what you're doing there. So that's how you'd be able to find that. I hope that's helpful. And also I'll just send this link here so you can directly see all over print items as well. Also, since Canva doesn't have the DPI thing, how do we figure out the right DPI in Canva for our designs? I believe when you're doing the 3000 by 3000 pixels, you should be good on DPI. You should be all set there. I know it doesn't have DPI like a software like Photoshop or everything would, but 3000 by 3000, you should be good. All right, does that sound good, guys? All right, give me 1 second. I want to make sure we're recording this session properly for people that cannot be here today. So I'm just going to do a quick little change very quickly in our recording. Beautiful. I'm gonna do a little thing really quickly. Okay, perfect. We are good to go. Sorry about that, guys. Just want to make sure we're all set when it comes to recording. All right, what about for rectangle designs? You could do that. I mean, like, honestly, like the canvas that you're using doesn't really like it doesn't matter that much because you can still design within this canvas. You could just extend it if you wanted to, if you really want to make it a rectangle, but we can crop this canvas afterwards. It's just to give us like a base. So we just default to 3000 by 3000. So you could do like 4500 by 3000 or something like that if you want a larger space to work with. But for now, we're just gonna do the 3000 by 3000. We'll play around in this space and kind of see what happens there. All right, I'm thinking we go with like an angelic type design. What are you guys thinking? If you guys have any thoughts for like quotes, anything you guys want to say, we can kind of go with that. But I'm just going to start off by adding some text. I like to add text to my merch designs. I think they're fun. I like to have something fun going on. So I'm just going to add a text box here, make it larger. And then we can kind of play around with fonts. I'm a big fan of Fredoka One, which is actually like a free Google font. I love this font. I think it's very like fun, bubbly, cute. So this is one that I prefer to use in my merch. And then I think right now I'm just going to play around. I'm going to write the word angelic for right now. And if you guys have better ideas for what we should put for like our little catchphrase, you can type them in chat. And I will play around with this font while we kind of start brainstorming. All right. Let's grab this. I'm thinking for an angelic vibe, I want to go with like a blue maybe, and we'll play around with some font effects as well. One thing that's like really cool with Canva is that you automatically have some effects built in to the text. So you're designing the text here. There's already stuff built in, so you're able to kind of play around with these already. So there's like an outline already, which is great. I love this effect. It's so cool. So you could play around and do like a pink outline if you wanted to, a yellow one if you want to. The yellow is kind of cool. I'm thinking maybe we could do blue outline and maybe yellow on the inside, possibly. Another thing I like to do when I'm designing in Canva is I like to take like the text and I like to duplicate it, and I like to just play around, like do different effects, kind of see what I like better. So say I'm not really sure how I feel about this. I think this is like cool. Say I'm like, okay, maybe that's cool. I kind of like that. But then maybe I want to try going back to the blue for the main color, this blue. And then when we go to the effect color, maybe I want to do a darker blue. Maybe that's not quite right. Maybe I want to do a black, but you can kind of play around and see what you like best. And then another thing to kind of keep in mind is if you know you're going to be designing on multiple color shirts, a great thing you can do in Canva is you can actually change this background color. So I can make this black. So if I know I want to print on a black shirt, I can see how these are going to appear on a black shirt, a white shirt. Say I know I'm going to print on like a light blue shirt, I can pick a custom color and be like, okay, this is kind of what it would look like on that while I'm designing. So I don't have to wait till I get to the product creation stage to do that. So just another thing that you can do with Canva as well. Average Roblox font usage. Dude, Fredoka 1 is great, dude. I didn't know Fredoka 1 was common amongst the Roblox community, but I used to be a Roblox girly, so I get it. All right, and then I'm just gonna do like one more. I think we're gonna do, so maybe we'll try like a little bit of a lighter yellow. And I think we can keep that blue. All right, I kind of like these. Maybe we'll do like Discord Angel. Discord stream angel. What are we thinking, guys? I also think I kind of want to grab a Canva element, and I kind of want to do like a little halo, maybe around like the G. So I think I can just like search halo here. I kind of see what I'm feeling. I don't want it to be too complicated. I don't want it to be glowing necessarily. I'm thinking maybe this one would be cute. And we'll grab this one too. Kind of see how I'm feeling. All right. So again, this is like super simple, right? It's just like, I literally came up with this as I joined like the Discord, and like I saw the thing, like it's just like a cute little inside joke. And like, we're already kind of coming up with some designs, some things that we can do to kind of elevate this, make it look fun. And I love that there's text involved. So I'm thinking I'm really liking our top one right here so far. So I'm just going to click this button here to duplicate this whole thing. And I'm just going to delete the other ones from this one. So we still have these up here, but I'm just going to play around with this. So let's just do Discord Angel. I think that's funny. The more I look at the word angel, the more I think I'm spelling it wrong. But I'm not, I know it's right. All right, we're going to scroll down here. I'm going to grab, I think this halo, and I'm thinking we could put it over the G, perhaps. I think this is kind of cute. I'm gonna change the color of this halo. I'm gonna make it match the color of this. So I actually forget what the color of this is. One really cool thing about Canva, you forget what the exact color you're using is, you can click here to get a custom color, and instead just copy the text code. We talked about this on stream last week too. You can do that to like match your designs to your shop if you want to, but you can just grab those hex codes super easy and make it really easy for yourself. All right, there we go. Now it matches. It's looking pretty cute. I'm gonna try this thinner halo too. I think it might look a little bit better as well. So I'm gonna drag this down here too. But you see what I'm saying? Like I'm just like experimenting, like just playing around with a bunch of different, different text, different items. Like this one's not really working for me. I don't really like it. Let's try this one over here. And we'll just pick that same color that we had before. Ooh, I grabbed a white by accident. Grab this color again and paste it here. And if you guys have any questions as we go, please feel free to stop me. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. All right, I'm gonna do this here. I kind of like this halo better. I think it's a little bit nicer. I'm thinking we might want to do like a little angle. Maybe not. Let's look at the angle, but I'm not really sure. Let's see, let's move this up here. And then I'm gonna do this and see what the halo looks like blue as well, just to test things out. So again, don't be afraid to just like test out a bunch of different things, make a bunch of variations. When you're like designing anything, it's like super important to just like play around, have fun with the design, make sure you're like really like you're kind of happy with where it's going. And it's okay if you're not liking it at first. Like I tried this one at first, I wasn't really feeling it, so I tried a different halo. And I was like, let's see what it looks like in blue. And it's totally cool to just kind of keep experimenting and playing around and seeing what you like. And again, it doesn't have to be the super complex thing. It can just be something that's like some text, something a little flair added to it like we're doing with the halo, and then being good to go. So let's see here. I'm gonna try to make this a little bit bigger, put this on the inside maybe, but I don't really like how it looks, and that's okay. I think I'm actually liking this yellow one up here, and now I wanna see how it's gonna look like on a white shirt. And I think this is cute. I like this Discord Angel. I think this is cute. I'm really liking this design. So I think we're gonna go with this one. If you guys have any thoughts, let me know in our chat. Have you run into issues when printing black on black blanks? I have gotten this sort of shine. Yeah, so if you're printing black on black paints, black shirts, the black is still gonna print. So it's still gonna be like the ink is still gonna be on the shirt. If you want to print a design that has black without that effect, you would just want to get rid of like the black, like in the design, so that it's transparent when you print on a black shirt, and that would resolve that issue for you. But if you're printing black on a black shirt, it is going to have that shine just because the ink is being printed onto the shirt. All right, so we're gonna go with this Discord Angel design, I think, but kind of, I think it's cool. Like, let's go back. You can kind of see where we started, right? We're experimenting with all of these different colors. We have these 2 halos, like trying to figure out what we wanted. We came down here, we picked some text to add. We put some halos on top, kind of see where things were going. And then I picked this design out of all of them. So I'm just gonna delete these. And then we should be good to go here. So I'm just gonna group these. It's another thing you can do in Canva. You can group, so you can just move this around and it all moves together. And so that was a really quick design that we put together in what, probably 15 minutes, like probably less than that, to be honest. Super simple, super easy. And again, that was just created off of something that we like immediately just talked about in stream. So another cool thing that you can do with Canva as you're designing, and this is something that I did on the stream that we had over on Twitch last week. I'm gonna create another one of these, is you can create, like, you can kind of experiment and create color palettes in here. So if you're really trying to figure out, like, you don't even know what colors you like, maybe you're trying to brand yourself, trying to figure out what your branding looks like. I'm gonna change this to white. I'll go over to elements here. I'm just gonna grab a square. So from lines and shapes, I'm just clicking on this square. And I think 3 is a good amount to pick. So I'm gonna pick like 3 of them. Now, for color palettes, you can use color palette generators like Adobe has one. You could Google color palette generator. That's super helpful, can be super fun to use just to kind of experiment with. But for this, you can kind of just experiment with like what colors you want. If you don't want to use a color palette generator, say I know that I'm probably gonna want to use a pink. I mean, look at me. Probably gonna want to use some pink here. So I'm gonna just start in this pink, and I can play around with like what color I want. I'm kind of wanting a pastel. Maybe I want it to be more red. And then I can kind of play around with this color, get it to somewhere I want, and be like, okay, I like this color. One thing that I like to do when I'm working with colors that kind of just makes developing a color palette easier is you can go here, grab that hex, and I'm actually gonna bring it over to this one. You can kind of see that it saves the color here as well. Click on that pink, and then say I wanna make this purple. Instead of just playing around here again, I'm just gonna drag this to purple and see if I can find a shade that I like. And this is kind of nice. It kind of works well with the pink because they're kind of in that same like hue and that same like shade range too. So I think that looks really nice. And then again, I'm gonna do the same thing, and I'm gonna grab, say, that purple, and I'm gonna move it over to blue. Again, you can kind of see I have these colors throughout my apartment. But it's really cool to be able to kind of play with the colors there. And just for you guys, I'll do an example that's completely different from what I would normally do. So let's say I want to work with like a bright green. All right, there's some solid colors here. Might want to pick one from Canva, play around with it. Say I want to do a bright green design. All right, something that's very out of like my fashion sense usually, but let's experiment, give it some gamer vibes, kind of giving me little G Fuel vibes, the green. And then I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna pick that green that we just used, and let's do like a cyan, like, yeah, this is cool, all right? Again, we're getting some neons, we're getting different color palettes using the same exact method. And then I'm gonna grab the cyan again, and then we can play around. Say I wanna grab maybe like this dark purple is kind of cool. We could do a yellow. Ooh, I kind of like the orange. This is reminding me of something. This reminds me of Monsters Inc. for some reason. But we can grab this orange, right? And again, this is a completely different color palette from the one at top. So no matter what your aesthetic is, you can kind of use this method to kind of figure out what colors that you want to use. And then you can always go back and grab the hex code for each of these. You can use these in your designs. You can use these in your shop. You can kind of develop your own branding just like in using Canva, and it's really easy to use. And then once you start kind of playing around with the colors and decide on something you want, you can use this throughout like your You can even use this right for your shop. You can use this for your designs. You could use this for your Twitch panels. You could use this for your overlays. Like, it really is like a really nice way to kind of just experiment and figure out like what aesthetic you like, and what colors you vibe with. Another great thing to use that I always highly recommend to people is to use Pinterest. Pinterest is so great. Pinterest is a really great resource if you're a creator and you're trying to figure out what you want to do for your merch, for your branding. Like, I love Pinterest for this because you're able to just go in and find different images that you like, pin them all to a board. You can sort by collection. It's really, really great to be able to use. I've used this when I was doing overlays before. I've used this for my own merch before. You can really use this for everything, and you can use this for type of garments that you want to do. You could like just pin a bunch of inspiration. It makes your life so much easier. So I highly recommend making a Pinterest account and utilizing it, pinning merch from creators that you like. You can get like an extension where you can pin images from other websites, or you can upload your own images as pins. Like, really utilize them as like mood boards so that when you're designing your merch, it just makes your life a lot easier. Same Energy is another spot. I feel like Pinterest, but hate the ads. Carrot, thank you so much for sending that. I've never heard, but I'm going to take a look. Because I love Pinterest, but that's really nice. I will definitely be checking that out. But yes, very cool stuff. So I definitely recommend creating a mood board. It's going to make your designing life a little bit easier. So your mood board, coming up with some colors, coming up with a bit of a color palette for you. And again, going back to your designs, catchphrases, kind of fun and quirky things from your stream. Like, keep tabs on those moments in your stream that get a big response from your community that people just think is really funny. Because come on, like, people are usually referencing like streams, anything like that from your YouTube channel. If you have like an ongoing joke, if you have a specific intro that you have that you like always say, like if you have little phrases that you always say in your videos, same thing on TikTok, like any platform you're creating content on, if there's like a common phrase, an inside joke amongst your community, like that is like the perfect thing to include in your merch. So I recommend doing that. You could do like your emotes, and again, you can create multiple collections. One thing that I will say though that is cool is that we can actually use this for multiple different like items in the shop. So we can grab the design that we came up with and we could put this on a shirt, we could put this on a hoodie, we could put this on a mug, and like you can even do different things with the design. So say I wanted to do it on a mug, and I know a mug's gonna have like, I want it to have more of a square design for each side of the mug. We can take this, ungroup it. All right, I'm just gonna literally duplicate this. And we can, so basically like we can repurpose this design for different items, which is really great. So say I wanted it here, we can have it angled. I'm actually gonna have them line up like this so it's easier for us to work with. And then I could grab the halo, put it right here. And like we could have this on a mug. We could have this on something different. You could embroider this on a hat, you know? And so keep in mind too, what are you designing for? What print method are you designing for? If you're designing for embroidery, you're gonna want like solid colors. If I'm doing something embroidered, I'm probably gonna wanna get rid of this outline. It's gonna look fine without the outline, just embroidered, and just keep it to solid text. And the halo, I think this design would look great embroidered. You also want to keep in mind when you're doing embroidery. So again, I'm just literally going to duplicate this and then say I want to do one without the outline for embroidery. That's it. That's the design for embroidery. And then from there, like just keep in mind that when you're embroidering something, you have a color limit based on the manufacturer. So you can upload it as is and you can select the color you want. So if you have like a really like light pastel yellow, for example, or light pastel pink, you're probably not going to be able to get that with embroidery, but you can just change the color to the embroidery options that we do have in the product designer. Super quick and easy. So if you want to design something from embroidery, just keep in mind, you're going to want solid colors, not a lot of detail. So a design like this is perfect. And again, that's why a lot of the times catchphrases are so great too, because you can repurpose them for all different types of things, all different production methods as well. Do you have design advice or best practices for things that work on some merch but not others? Like something that works for shirts but not for glassware. So I would say when you're designing for different types of merch, just keep in mind like the design area, right? So that's kind of what I was talking about here, where I know on a mug, for example, that a straight across design, it could be fine, right? But I might want to have like a design, using my hydro flask as an example, right? I might want to have a design on both sides instead of just one text wrapping around it. And so for something like that, I'm keeping that in mind and I'm going down here, and I'm kind of restructuring this so that it fits like in more of like a little square or like a rectangle so that I can do double-sided, like do it on both sides. So it depends on what you're wanting, but I would say like for something like that, that's kind of what I was initially thinking is like, well, this would probably look better on a mug. And then again, we can do, just trying to show you guys how we can kind of play around with this too. And like we could center it too and have that on a mug as well. So keep in mind like the size of your design, like if it's long ways, how that's gonna look on a shirt, if that's what you want. If I was gonna do a left chest print, for example, so something in like the corner, right? I might not wanna do this variation because it's longer, which means it would I'd probably want it to be, it'd probably be much smaller than if I were to do this variation where it's one on top of the other, where it can be a little bit bigger and still like fit in what looks like a right, like left chest print. So I would kind of just keep that in mind when you're designing. All over print, right, is going to be very different because you're being able to print all over the garment. And you can always like you can see if there's templates that we have linked, or you can reach out to our support team if you want any templates for those to make your designs a little bit easier for you. But you want to keep in mind for those types of things that you're designing on the entire garment, it's a bit different. For hoodies, generally your design space is smaller because you have the pocket of the hoodie there, and you can't print over the pocket. So unless you're doing an all over print, for example. So you're going to want to keep in mind that you'll have a bit of a smaller design space. Your design might have to be a bit smaller on a hoodie than it would be on a t-shirt because there's no pocket kind of blocking that. You just want to keep in mind the areas that you're printing, like a sleeve print. What does that look like? Like literally if there's specific products that you're going to be designing for, it's honestly super helpful to look at the product, look at exactly like what the printing area is for the product. So if we go here, right now we're looking at all over print. Let's say I wanted to do a comfort colors shirt, right? Want to look at like where you can customize. I can customize the back, the front, the left sleeve, and the right sleeve. Okay, where am I going to want to do that? And then when you jump into the product designer, you can kind of see exactly what you can do, where you can look, and exactly like what the size is. So we can jump into that really quickly. I'm going to really quickly stop sharing just so I can jump in and log in on my account so I can kind of show you guys exactly what we're looking at. So give me 1 second to kind of hop in, and I'll basically show you exactly what the sizing looks like as well on my end. So let's take a look here. Because I think it's just really nice to see on the product design side of things as well, what you're able to do. So, okay, I'm gonna start sharing my screen with you guys again so you can see. This is just one of my many test shops that I have here. All right, should be able to see this now. And we're gonna go and create a new product, design something new. And from here, I'm gonna go with this comfort color shirt. It's one of my favorite shirts that we have. And I'm just gonna go to customize now, just so I can show you guys exactly where you can look. Karen, I'm so glad that this was helpful, Karen. So thank you. This is exactly what I came here for today. I was playing around with designing merch the other day and I felt very overwhelmed. Yeah, it can be super overwhelming. So I hope that this is like helpful, kind of, help you kind of figure out what works best for you and, give you some ideas as you're working through design. So it kind of makes it a little less overwhelming because it can be overwhelming to kind of just feel thrown into it. So for example, you'll be able to see exactly what my design area is here. Just for context, guys, this is a character in Genshin that I very much dislike. So that's what that design is about. And so if I want to throw something up on here, like I know, like this is what the size is going to look like. This is generally what it's going to look like. If I want to look at the back, I'll know exactly where it's going to be sitting. Seeing it's a little bit higher up than the front. Then the left sleeve, I can see that it's this like rectangle. And again, you can see the exact like measurements here. So you can know like, okay, what size do I have to design this at? Like what's the ratio, right? This obviously it's a 4:3 ratio. It's 4 inches to 3 inches that you're going to be able to print on here. So keeping that in mind as you're designing. But again, it's really like once you kind of have this in mind, if you're trying to design for other products, it becomes a lot easier for you. And it's a lot less overwhelming because you're able to literally look and see, okay, this is what I have to play around with. Let's go back and we'll pick like a hoodie, for example. Just so I can kind of show you guys what I mean when I'm telling you they can be a little bit different. So let's just go with this lane 7 hoodie. We can go to customize now. And you'll be able to see here, See, it's a bit smaller because we can't print over this pocket. So it's going to be at the top. And then you can see the back, what your print area is. It's much larger here. This is a really nice print area for this hoodie, actually. Super cool. And then you'll also be able to see the sleeves, where you can print on the sleeves. And again, keep in mind what these measurements are as you're designing. Again, Canva can be a little bit funky, obviously, but you could plug in the 3 inches to 15 inches. And then you can make it larger if you want to. And then in something like Photoshop, where you really have control over the DPI, this is just great to kind of plug in and then just start designing on top of that. So if you have specific garments in mind, that's great, but you don't have to have specific garments in mind to get started at all. Like you really don't. You can have a design first, which I honestly kind of recommend if you're not really sure where to start, kind of come up with like a bit of a design first, and then you can start playing around with garments, and then you can always go back and edit and be like, okay, well, this didn't look as good on the hoodie, so I'm gonna actually make it this size so it looks good as a sleeve print. And that way you're kind of like experimenting and thinking as you're designing. Like you can jump from your designer to the product designer. You can kind of play around in there. And again, once you kind of have a groove, you got like your palette locked down, you know exactly like what you're going to be like designing, you have some ideas, it becomes a lot simpler. It can be a bit overwhelming at first. So don't get too bogged down in the details. Feel free to kind of play around and experiment and see what you like first. It doesn't have to be perfect on the first try, right? You could just create a couple products to get in the groove and then be like, okay, I kind of don't like this. I kind of want to edit it to this. Feel free to play around. Another great thing, right? If you're coming up with different catchphrases that you want to pick, just write a bunch of things down. Maybe look through your clips and see like, what are your most popular clips? What are these moments that my community finds very engaging and funny? If you're like, have like YouTube videos, right? Like what are people commenting? What are people saying in like my Discord? What are people tweeting at me on my TikTok? What's something that I always do? What's like my most popular TikTok that's doing really well? What's something that my audience really likes? Like write down like a bunch of that, like just keep tabs on your own content because it's coming from you, and your audience is going to be engaging with the content that they really like. And again, especially like, you know, it differs from platform to platform. On Twitch, right? You probably have a chat that will be making jokes, having inside jokes with you, referencing old clips, stuff like that. For YouTube, you'll probably have people in your comments that'll say specific things that they like. People could be tweeting at you. And like I said, for TikTok, people, just how are they engaging with your content? What are the things that your audience finds to be the most entertaining? And then just playing around with that. So again, feel free to experiment, try a bunch of different things. And another great thing just to keep in mind is that when it comes to Fourthwall, a lot of these options, the majority of these options that you're probably going to be using are print on demand. So it's not like you're going to be having to buy a bunch of inventory up front or anything like that. It's much more simple for you because you can experiment with a design, and if no one buys it, that one specific design for some reason, you don't take any losses, right? Like it's not like you bought a bunch of merch and you're trying to sell it. Like it's printed on demand. So if you want to experiment with a design that you're not sure people will like, feel free to do that. And then if people don't end up getting it, you can kind of keep that in mind, be like, okay, this one didn't do as well. I'll keep that in mind for next time that designs like this don't do as well. Or maybe you do it and that design blows up and you're like, whoa, I had no idea people were going to like it this much. Feel free to experiment and don't feel like it has to be completely perfect, especially when you're first starting out. I know myself, like when you're doing stuff like this, sometimes you can get like decision paralysis and you can just feel like kind of like stuck and like you want it to be perfect. So you don't do anything, you don't launch anything. I think as content creators, a lot of you guys have probably felt this way about your content as well. Like you just don't want to upload something, you don't want to stream something if it's not perfect. But a lot of the times, some of the content that I've seen perform the best for me has been content that I had no idea was going to do that well. So, you know, it's important to trust your instincts, but also don't be afraid to take a couple leaps, take some jumps and experiment and kind of put yourself out there, see what people like, see what they don't like, and like go from there, collect some feedback. A friend who is currently on Fourthwall mentioned that designing stickers is quite tricky. Is there anything we should keep in mind when working with those? It depends on I guess it depends on what they're having difficulty with the stickers. I definitely think like reaching out to like our support team or support channel in the Discord is great for that because then they can kind of troubleshoot exactly what the trouble is with the stickers. I think maybe in general when designing stickers anywhere, having too much empty space when you want a design to be connected is kind of hard. That's something that can be a little bit difficult is like if there's too much empty space around the design, then they just won't be connected because like the outline from the sticker isn't large enough, for example. One thing that you can do to combat that is to add a stroke to your design. So something like this, right? This could probably print separately. They might print as separate stickers, or the elements might not be close enough together. You could add a white stroke around this design. Usually like in a software like Photoshop, or a free alternative to Photoshop, for example, you just be able to add like a stroke around the design itself so that everything's connected before you put it onto the sticker. So that's something that you can do, but just keep that in mind when you're designing. And again, our product designer will show you like if things are gonna print as separate elements too, and you can kind of troubleshoot from there. And of course, you can always reach out to our support team for help there as well. I really had that last night picking the subdomain for the store, dude. Sometimes you just get in your own head. And so I totally understand. I hope you picked a good one that you really liked. I just do shop. I think mine is like literally shop.leahcedeno.com. That's what Vince was playing around with yesterday. Shop! Nice, same. I picked shop as well. Great, that's fantastic. Shop is a good one. I really like that. But yeah, so it's really easy when it comes to creating like your designs. I feel once you kind of get in the groove, at first it's overwhelming, but just like, play around, experiment, make this like a fun thing. Like, I feel like designing your merch should be fun. It shouldn't be this like really stressful thing for you. It should be really exciting to be able to, kind of put some of your best moments and like favorite times with your community into some tangible things. Can you change your domain without like buying a domain? So if you wanted to change, like say it was Dia Hunter Girl, like our Fourthwall like domain, for example, like I'm trying to go, I can see. So if it was like Dia Hunter Girl shop.fourthwall.com, and you wanted to change, we could change the like your name. So I could change the Leah Cedeno Fourthwall shop, like this part before it gets to shop.fourthwall.com, by reaching out to our support and just asking them to change that. But if you wanted to not have shop.fourthwall.com, you would just have to buy a domain from someone else. And I think it's like, when I got my domain, it's like $12 a year or something. It was pretty cheap. And I got mine from GoDaddy, I believe. And I know we recommend Google domains. And I know Namecheap is one that we don't really recommend because I feel like Namecheap has some more issues than others. But Google Domains is one that I know that we've used a lot and has been pretty good. I picked shop. I pulled the community. It was overwhelming for shop, which I was not expecting. So I'm glad I asked. See, it's so great when you like ask your community for direct feedback on stuff like this as well. I think that's also great. Getting your community involved in your merch design is also another like really cool thing that you can do. So if your community is really engaged with you, I would always recommend like directly reaching out to them. If you're a streamer, streaming while you design your merch. I know we have a couple streamers who have done this, like Killam Gillam's done this, and a couple other people in our community have just directly asked their community or designed things on stream, made it like this like fun activity that they all do together. So I would also recommend doing that as well. Hi, Rebecca Roney. I was just talking about how you're going to be in our event later about working with artists. Just got one from Google, but now I'm indecisive about which domain I'm going to use for my portfolio. Hey, you could always do like a different like subdomain as well to kind of make your life easier too, if you want to kind of keep the same thing there and not make it too complicated. So I'm doing my domain registry through Squarespace and connecting with the shop subdomain. Fourthwall is super easy. Nice. I'm glad that worked out very simply for you. All right, guys, I think we kind of covered a lot when it came to design. I hope this is helpful. Do you guys have any questions in chat about getting designs ready to go at all? We get DTFX in the EU. That's a good question. For right now, I just know that DTFX, the only manufacturer we have for DTFX currently is in the US. Our production team's always working on getting stuff, obviously, like across the globe, like we have a lot of our other manufacturers, but there's no timeline that I have on getting it in the EU just yet, unfortunately. So right now, DTFX is only manufactured in the US. One thing that's cool about our product catalog though for production methods that aren't DTFX is you can sort by products that are manufactured and shipped from the EU to make your life easier as well. All right, well, if you guys have any questions about anything regarding design or anything else, one, you can always reach out to our support channel. You can talk in the BFF chat. Feel free to ping me whenever. If you have a question, just at Leah. I'm always happy to kind of jump in and help there. Any tips for DTF prints? We kind of talked about this today, but just making sure you're doing a high quality production size. So I'll send in this help article again that's over here. This is great to check out when it comes to designing your merch, figuring out what quality you want it to be, what format it should be in. You don't want it to have like fade or glow effects, like anything in there. This guide is super helpful when it comes to product creation and like the actual logistics of your design. The black shows through the white here. I'm not able to like jump in on this just because I don't know exactly what product you're working on. For anything like production specific too, I think just like reaching out to support because they can help troubleshoot if there's something wrong with how it's being mocked up on our end for some reason, or they can help you kind of like recommend. But printing white on dark garments with DTFX is a little bit harder. I mean, that's not DTFX, sorry, DTG is a bit harder because I'll tell you why. Basically, because with a black shirt, like this one, for example, when you're printing a light color, the ink for DTG, it's direct to garment, so it seeps into the garment, like it's sinking into the garment. That's why it's so soft. So when you're doing that on a black garment, it's not going to appear as vibrant because it's sinking into the garment versus something like DTFX, which this is, I think, screen printing, but this is a kind of an example where it's like it sits on top of the garment, so it's brighter. That's why DTFX feels thicker because it doesn't seep into the garment. It's not as soft, but it's brighter because it's sitting on top of the garment. Yes, thank you, Cosette. As Cosette mentioned, we have other events happening later today, and you can also check them. You can check them on the Eventbrite. You can check them in the events tab in our Discord as well. But Vince and Jeremy are going to be on later with our artists Serena, Isamin Bunny, and Rebecca Roney, talking about how you can work with an artist. It's going to be really great. So I definitely check that one out. I'm really excited, one, to hear from Vince and Jeremy, and two, to hear from 3 different artists from our community with tips and trips about how to find an artist, how to work with an artist. And then later we'll be doing a stream over on Twitch talking about some of our favorite shops with our favorite designs, some staff picks from some of our Fourthwall staff members with some of their favorite shops that they sent over to us as well. And they lay down a layer of light ink to keep it bright, which can lead to it being thick if you have a blocky design. Yes, exactly. They're doing like a base to make sure it stays as bright as possible. All right, I see some typing, so I'm going to stick around just a little bit longer, answer any questions that you guys have. But again, make sure you check out the rest of the events that we're going to be happening. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to ping me in the Discord, in the support channel if you have like production or support specific related questions as well. Yeah, and again, I hope you guys have a great Bring a Friend to Fourthwall week, and check out the rest of the events that we're having today and also tomorrow. We got events going on all week with a big finale on Friday when we'll be launching some shops with all of you. So, all right, guys, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later tonight, actually. Come hang out at stream at 7, I think it's 7 CST. Come hang out. Come say hi. We'll hang out. All right, bye, guys.